So people wanted me to make a deck profile on my YouTube because they saw my combo video. And well, this is kind of the response to that now that I have results from a regional that I went 6-2 and I was playing against mostly meta like Sky Strikers, one Sky Striker, one Salamangreat, uh, two Danger Thunder Dragons, one Crusadia Guard Dragon, and two Guru Controls. And I played one Burning Abyss. Well, that one was a blowout. The ones that I lost to were the Salamangreat and one of the Thunder Dragons. And well, I think for those reasons, I felt like I got pretty unlucky. But anyhow, besides me ranting about my losses, let's talk about my deck and why I think it worked. So, 3 Ultimate Conductor Tyrannos. We're playing a more pure Lost World build. And in that deck, your win condition is Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. Every game that you win, you're making him. He has a very nice card in terms of he's got a lot of effects. In terms of he's got a Book of Eclipse effect on either player's main phase. He can attack all monsters your opponent controls, and if he attacks a defense position monster, this is actually kind of important that I think a lot of people don't mention correctly, is that he deals 1,000 damage, and if you do send that monster to the graveyard, meaning that if that 1,000 damage isn't correctly processed, then and if you do, line doesn't apply anymore, so that monster cannot get sent to the graveyard. But that barely comes up, but that's just to let you know that you actually do the burn damage first, and without it, it does not work. But anyhow, I think that's what's important about Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. It's a boss monster. Yeah, I'm going to keep looping myself, so let's move on. Oviraptor, your starter card, your enabler. Most games that you win, you have Oviraptor. Well, that's like 99% of the games that you win. You have Oviraptor do something for you to get to Ultimate. Without it, it's pretty tough. You're kind of relying on your opponent not being able to fight through whatever you have, but most of the time, if you have Oviraptor, you're winning the game. Hopefully, when he resolves correctly. One Miscellaneous Source. He came up quite a bit. Stops hand trap disruptions. It also stops back row. It can bash itself to special summon stuff a lot. The few times I used it, it was to summon out a Petite Pteranodon and have it blow up, so at end phase I get Pankratops back. I feel like that's kind of how I use them the most this tournament, but yeah, he's a good card. If he comes back to 3, I'll definitely play him at 3. Do I think it's going to break dinos? No, it just makes them more annoying because now they have more immunities to disruption, which I think doesn't exactly help the meta. Giant Rex, I think you only need 1. If you draw into it, try to pill it off. If not, try to destroy it. Try to send it off with Twin Twisters. Yeah. But a lot of times you're going to be sending this card to the grave, or you're going to be special summoning him with your babies. And speaking of my babies, I have 1 baby Ceratosaurus and 1 Petite Pteranodon. And the reason why I run the 1-1, because I think double baby is the right ratio. However, 1 Petite Pteranodon adds it increases the ceiling of your deck. You can say, like I mentioned, you could go into Pankratops with this. And I think that is very valuable that you can get Pankratops from the deck. Oh man, I'm stuck. Anyhow, I think a lot of people would find it weird that I run him at 1 and 1 baby rather than 2 babies and 1 petite, or 2 babies, because 2 babies is more consistent most likely. But I think, but I thought to myself that, well, petite basically does what baby does. It's just a little weaker, but it does kind of the same thing. So I'm like, worst case scenario, I can get an Oviraptor, I could get a Rex, I could get Miscellaneous Source. They can't attack, but I could use them for extra deck summons, so I don't see what the problem is. Overtext Quatless. you're a searcher for double evolution pill. You do not want to draw into this unless you can pop it with Tyranno. Which I never was able to pop it from my hand with Tyranno. The one time I drew into it that actually helped was, well, it would have been better in the deck. I just popped it from my hand with Lost World. So, and also the one time I summoned him, I did not use his like spell trap negation. Rather, I just used him because I know I'll get something if I destroy him. Along with, I'll explain the play later. Dino Wrestler Pancratrops. If you're going second, I would suggest playing Pancratrops because he helps breaks boards. But in the Dinos deck, it's a little more than just breaking boards and outing floodgates, baiting the gates. It also can help you OTK. It also can help you get started with Lost World because you could tribute him, target the token, and then destroy baby stars from the deck with Lost World. So there's that play. Triple Ash Blossom negates basically half of the cards in the game. I don't see why you should not run this at the moment. I don't think we're in like a format where Ash is too weak. I think Ash has a lot of benefits and is definitely worth playing. 3 Veilers. I honestly think Veiler is low impact unless you're playing against decks like Thunder Dragons and you stop their Saryujo with Effect Veiler. But other than that, I feel Effect Veiler is low impact. But with that being said, it is very versatile. It can hit a lot of different decks and strategies, even if it's at a rather weak level, that I think it matters to main deck it. And then I run 3 Kaijus in my main. The funny thing is I actually don't run Slumber because I don't think Slumber is good in the meta because you have Salamangreats who could just banish Banelinks. You have Thunder Dragons who just banish a Thunder monster, which doesn't help. So I just run the Kaijus for the Kaijuing of getting rid of your opponent's monster and then trying to stun them because you have a Kaiju instead. Really nice against Strikers and Salamangreats. Comes up a bit with Thunder Dragons, but yeah, it's pretty nice. 3 Lost World. It's the name of the deck. It's not necessary to win. However, it really increases your ability to win. So you should run Lost World, I think, if you want to build it closer to Lost World and yeah, max out your terraforming. Because the thing about Lost World is the only time Lost World is a brick is when you draw multiple Lost World and then the rest of your hand can't do anything. But if you draw multiple Lost World and your hand is okay, like you can summon stuff, gain 2 tokens and then making Ultimate Pentastag is basically an OTK that you don't need to touch your opponent's monster. And that's pretty nice. Fossil Dig, it's the road of the deck. I don't see why you don't want to run this. It's too good not to run. Only dinos kind of have access to this generic, I think, so it's pretty nice. And there's no cost to it either. Like, I think the new Cybers one had a cost. I don't care. Anyhow, moving on. 2 pills. I don't think you want to run 3. I think 2 is just enough to make sure that the few times that you want it, it's there for you. However, there are times that Double Evolution Pill will brick because you don't draw all your hand traps, but you have 8 targets in the main deck. You should have about over half of the games that you play a way to get to Double Evolution Pill. If not, then at least in the grind game, once your extra deck monsters go to the grave, then you can still use Pill with them instead. Foolish Burial. Send Rex, send Overtext for Pill. You could send dead hand traps. You could send dead kaijus. You could send Miscellaneous Source for Miscellaneous Source plays. Pretty good card. Definitely want to run this. 3 Call by the Graves because this deck does not like to play against hand traps. It doesn't like Lancia. It somewhat doesn't like Droll. And it also doesn't like Ash Blossom. Veiler, I'm not as worried, but that's still a problem. So Call by the Grave is there. 3 Twin Twisters because back row can really disrupt the deck. So you want to use Twin Twisters to just kind of help break through that. And let me tell you one thing about the way that I've kind of ratioed my deck. So one thing you do notice is that I have 3 Twin Twisters, 3 Caught by the Graves. Let's go back. 3 Kaijus, and then 3 Veilers. These are the cards that I side out. And when we go into the side deck, it'll probably make more sense why I'm doing it this way, why I'm running at max. And well, because I mentioned about side decks, let's actually look into my side deck. Let's see, here it is. So we run 3 Lancias. So I really don't like playing against Danger Orcas. Thankfully, I didn't run into one. I did not. I decided in my Lancia against Thunder Dragons, but I didn't open it like the 4 times that I played it. However, I opened Droll in 2 of the games that I played against Thunder Dragons, and that got me to win. Droll's pretty nice. I'm not really good at explaining why, but 3 Eclipses is probably the one card that I do regret siding, because like the one time I sided in, I never saw it, or thinking in retrospect, this should have been DD Crow instead, because against Thunder Dragons, you have 12 hand traps, and getting to at least to 1 hand trap, you have about 85% going first, and probably a little bit higher going second. So I mean, 85% to draw 1, because going second you're gonna be drawing a card. So yeah. Anyhow, point is, I don't think Eclipse is needed if you can just stop them, because most likely they're going to be just full of danger monsters. They're going to be full of Thunder Dragon monsters. They're not going to run hand traps. They're not going to run Call by the Grave. So I don't need to play Call by the Grave against him. 3 Hatronades. So during my like testing out, just kind of figuring out how I want to build this deck, the one thing I've kind of struggled was trying to figure out how I want to play against Sky Strikers. And I was like, well, Sky Strikers can go off. You want to make sure that you could steal momentum from them and kill them if you can. And this card basically does that to an extreme level, because you play Hatronade, everything goes back to the hand, or if they multi-rolled it, it gets banished. So and even against the Salamangreat matchup, I think it's not bad, because a lot of their traps are reactive and they don't run a lot of floodgates from my experience. So you could run Hatronade to bait out Roar, and if they don't have Roar, then you just blow back every trap card that they have, and you don't have to worry about that. You just have to worry about hand traps. Helps eliminate that problem. And then lastly, 3 Red Reboots. Red Reboots, good against trap decks, good against floodgates, good against, well, yeah, just traps in general. So so kind of like how I had like the 3s in my main deck, my side deck is also all 3s. And what I like about why I did this is because it makes it so that side decking is not hard. Like, sure, I went against a lot of meta matchups, but even like if you were go against rogue matchups, you just know what to side out, like what doesn't work against them, and you just side on what works against them. It's very simple, it's very fail proof, and I think that it's actually a concept that I think could be discussed a little more when it comes to side decking. But who knows? I could be wrong, but I feel like that helped me. Moving on to my extra deck, I have Lagia, Doka. Going blind Logia is the best. If Logia is good when your opponent has like a set spell and trap that you're kind of afraid, and they only have like one of it. It's also good to kind of just drown your opponent out with a Solemn Judgment level negate. Doka's better when you know your opponent just has nothing but monster effects to activate, and it's 2. Because it does not have a once per turn clause anywhere listed, so you can actually use it twice. It's pretty lit. Moving on. Yeah. 1 Castell. I actually made this against my Burning Abyss matchup. I just blew back Dante. He had a Libic underneath, but he didn't activate Libic, or he just didn't have a Burning Abyss in hand to stop block my OTK. So I just basically OTK with Ultimate, Pancrotrops, and Castell 2 times and I won. It was unfortunate on his end, honestly. Tornado Dragon. I made this once during my last game with Guru Control. It was getting to the point where the game was getting simplified, and I just had ultimates and 2 level 4, so I just made Tornado Dragon pop their back row, had ultimate run over their set Guru, and then basically, no matter what they did, they were gonna lose. I just basically had economy on my side, so I really like that. Abyss Dweller, never made this. The few times I want to make Dweller, I can't make Dweller. That's just unfortunate, but yeah. Still a card you should run. Exciting Night. Oh my goodness, should I tell you something? So about Exciting Night, what's actually really nice about Exciting Night is that the biggest problem with Exciting Night in the current meta is that there's a lot of ways to negate Exciting Night. Now, what if you figure out ways to stop that? So my last game, what actually brought me to that simplified game state was Red Reboot, and then Red Reboot to Exciting Night. So the situation was this. So Subterrace had their set cards, they had their field spell, they had Guru face up with Fiendus in hand. I baited the Fiendus with Pancrotrops, and then I went to my Oviraptor, they activated an impermanence, and I chained Reboot. So they basically couldn't play their traps. They couldn't stop me in any way because they had no cards in hand, and everything was face down except for the field spell, which would do nothing during my main phase. And then I searched Rex. I double illusion pill my Dead Ashen Rex. I got out Quatless, and then with the Rex and Oviraptor, I made Exciting Night, and I blew up their board of 6. Yeah. That to me was like the galaxy brain play that I made for that day, and why I think Exciting Night is a really good card still, despite the fact that it's actually back to 3, I think it was. Yeah. 1 Cowboy, never made it, but it's there just in case I need OTKs. 1 Utopia, and with Lightning, of course. Never made it. I don't know. I don't think it would be worth losing my book. So before I decided to put in my Utopia package, I had Bakuska and Cerberus. Either ways, I don't think I would have made any of those monsters. This guy came up once against Crusadia Guard Dragon because I had double ultimate. I just kind of beat him up, and then he was at 19. I just made Gustav Max, and that was game. Well, Reproducus, this was for rivalries. Didn't run into anyone, so well, he was kind of useless, but hey. Underclock, I made it a few times. He wasn't all that impactful, but still a really nice monster to have, and just lower your opponent's attack when you can, so why not? Pentastag. This does so much OTKs. I even had someone call a judge because they didn't understand the concept of linked. And here's how I'll explain it. So there are 2 conditions that need to be met for the condition of linked monsters to work. So either A, the link monster points to a monster, or B, the monster is pointed by a link monster. So what this means is that both Ultimate Conductor Talent that you summon right below it and Pentastag both have piercing. With double Lost World, you summon 2 tokens. You spare 1 token with your second Lost World, and then you finish the game by using Pentastag and running into Lost World because it has piercing and it does perfectly 81 damage. So that I think is pretty nice. Nightmare Phoenix, never made it. And I also never made Trisbana. But yeah, that's kind of the same concept with Red Reboot. If you Red Reboot or Bonin, either you want to kill them, or you want to figure out a way to blow up their board, likely this guy, or, well, in my case, Exciting Night, which I thought was like the galaxy brain play of the day. I wish I live streamed. I wish it was on like a video or something, but it's not. Anyhow, that's my deck profile. It's very old-fashioned. It's just kind of like hand trap dinos, really, with Lost World. and just some generally good breaker cards. I didn't have the money for Phantasme or Extravagance that I really like to have. I didn't have the money for Borlord or Borsword. I probably could buy Borlo now, but I haven't gone out of my ways to do it. Anyhow, this is my deck profile. I hope you enjoy it, and well, I guess I'll see you later then.